2021 has almost come to a close, and with that, we wanted to share the top 5 synthesizers and drum machines we've moved through the store this year, and I want to share a couple of my top picks as well. You ready to do this? Let's go. Hello, Chris Cline here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. And as we are closing out the year, we want to talk about some of the products that we've had a lot of fun with this year and that have been really, really popular with you, the consumers, and the music producers of the universe. So let's get to talking about, well, it almost looks like an Arturia display here, but don't let that fool you. We also have one Roland unit here. Not saying that we haven't sold some Roland product, because we have, they're very popular, but a lot of what we've been moving has been Arturia. So a lot of what you see in front of me is made by Arturia, and then I have this one Roland unit here as well, the JU-06. Now, Arturia, they have fantastic equipment that sounds great, really, really punchy. A lot of it's analog, except for this guy over here, which is a digital analog hybrid. We'll get to that in a second. But the price point on a lot of their pieces is really attractive, and the build is fantastic, sounds great, really, really flexible, especially if you're dealing with the modular world, and that's why we have this here. And so let's explore the Arturia pieces first, and then we'll jump into the Roland JU-06A, which I don't think I mentioned before. So if we start down here on my right or your left, we have 2 of Arturia's analog drum machines, the MiniBrute Impact and the MiniBrute. Now, these are different in their size and their form and how much functionality you have. They're both analog, but they have some other features that are built in as well. They're both slightly different, once again, in their functionality, which I really, really want to stress, where the MiniBrute Impact has a distortion circuit and the MiniBrute actually has a filter on it. So those 2 differences might be maybe one of the reasons why you want to have both. The MiniBrute Impact has 8 pads, where the MiniBrute has 12. They both have robust sequencers, multiple outputs, and here's another way in which they are differentiated. The MiniBrute Impact has a mix out, and then it has 4 separate outputs for kick and snare, and I'm trying to remember the other 2. I can just pull it up and tell you right now. Kick, snare, hi-hat, and your FM drum, which is a really, really cool feature. Now on the MiniBrute, you have separate outputs for every single drum. So if you're trying to get more control of the individual drum sounds in your mix, the MiniBrute is going to offer more flexibility there. But both of them sound absolutely stunning. They offer a lot of punch, and if you're trying to get away from the more typical 808, 909, 606, maybe early Alesis drum machines or some of the early Boss drum machines, these 2 right here are probably going to offer that to you. Now, if you've been following the channel, you have noticed that I use the MiniBrute Impact quite a bit in my sound clips when we're plugging in different pedals and whatnot. The reason being is because it sounds great and it's really, really easy to use. And both of them offer random features, ways that you can glitch or you can repeat steps, other functionalities that don't exist on earlier drum machines and on a lot of today's current drum machines as well. So both of these offer so much in a very, very nice price point. And again, with them being analog, they offer a lot of oomph and weight that you're not going to find in some digital drum machines. So let's go ahead and take a listen to both of these back to back. And so number 3 right here, and don't be deceived by all this modular goodness that you're seeing here. And I am not necessarily painting by numbers at this point too, because really our number 3 was the MicroBrute, and that has been discontinued. So I brought in my own MiniBrute 2S, which has the same oscillator, same filter as the MicroBrute, and I have my RackBrute 6U on here as well. So when you get something like this, it's scalable, right? So you're seeing my modular setup with the Arturia Synth down here, the MiniBrute 2S, Parker Steiner filter. It sounds killer. Again, it has a lot of weight. You have other options that you can add to the oscillator. You have a sub-oscillator, you have a metalizer, which may or may not be the flavor you're looking for. It adds a little more color to the triangle. And then you also have your pulse width that you can manipulate as well. And the thing that's super, super fantastic about this setup is with the MiniBrute 2S, you have a very, very robust sequencer and a patch bay, right? So it is a semi-modular synthesizer, and adding the rack to it, well, now I can control a lot of my modules that I have here, which you can see I have a Moog Mother, clouds, what else do I have in here? A tip-top processor, I'm trying to think of everything that's in here right now because I have other modules at home that I swap out. The Strymon Magneto, which we carry here. It's a super killer delay unit. I think it's a little more attractive than the MicroBrute because, again, if you get something like this and you decide you want to enter the modular world, once again, it's scalable. And it folds up into a suitcase as well, which is super handy, no pun intended. And with these stoppers right here, you can fold it up without messing up your patches if you're going to go out and gig and do anything with it. But what we're going to listen to today is not the modular aspect. We're going to actually listen to this down here, the MiniBrute 2S. We want to listen to the oscillator and the filter. I'm going to run some sequences, and I'm also going to incorporate the Strymon Magneto as well, so you can hear what that sounds like, because we do carry that here. I don't have a whole lot of time with this yet. I'm still getting to know it, because you can get really, really crazy with the patching on this, especially coming off of this. You can sequence all kinds of things. You use your CV to control all the parameters that you see on the front of this device. So let's go ahead and listen to the MiniBrute 2S, and then we'll move down to 4 and 5. So let's move down to number 4, the Roland Boutique JU-06A, which is a faithful recreation of Roland's Juno 106. Now the Juno 106 is an analog keyboard, or an analog synthesizer. The JU-06A is digital, and it uses Roland's analog circuit behavior, which are basically algorithms that model all the different components in Roland's old synthesizers. It's a pretty nice sounding replica for a digital unit. And Zach has covered this before. I believe Zach did a comparison of the JU-06, a Juno 60, and a 106. So we'll add a link and you can go ahead and review that again and hear a little more the subtle differences between the 3 keyboards. But if you're looking for something that has a small footprint, a big sound, and you don't want to spend $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, whatever a 106 is fetching today, I can't remember. I had a Juno 60 back in the day. I paid $300 for it in 1992, and I think those are selling for $2,500 now. I wish I still had it, but once again, going back to this, if you're looking for that sound and feel, this is the way to go. It's powered by USB. It has the classic Roland core circuit in it as well, which is very, very attractive for all kinds of people. I mean, TC Electronics has a Juno pedal. I think they call it the June-06 or the Juno or something June, blah, blah, blah. This is the most honest recreation of that chorus circuit. And again, you're not going to be paying $2,000 to $3,000 for a 106. The trade-off is 4-note polyphony versus the 106 has 6-note polyphony. Now what you can do is you can buy another one of these units and you can polychain them, which will give you 8-note polyphony, which is incredibly attractive. You're not breaking the bank like you would with the Juno 106. You can put these in a backpack. They're powered by batteries or by USB. There's so much you can do with these. You can save presets. It's a great package at a really affordable cost, and you can't put a Juno 106 in your backpack. You just can't do that. You can put 2 of those in there, and it sounds fantastic. I'm going to quit talking about it. Let's listen to it. Last, but certainly not least, is number 5, Arturia's MicroFreak. This is a strange synth. It is a digital synthesizer with analog filters. It's the SEM filter. It's digital in that it incorporates wavetables, other digital oscillators, so a digital sine wave, triangle, so on and so forth. It has a modulation matrix, so you can modulate just about anything by anything on it. The keyboard is this capacitance touch keyboard that offers poly aftertouch, which MIDI controllers that offer poly aftertouch usually cost significantly more. So it offers poly aftertouch. You can move up and down the keyboard to modulate different parameters, filters, LFOs, and by up and down, I mean literally from the bottom of the keys up to the top. You have another ribbon light controller right here on the side, which you can use to manipulate whatever you want. It's such a cool package. It's really, really small. It will interface with your modular keyboard because it has CV, it has multiple outputs for CV and pitch. It's a lot of fun, and it's easy to get lost in it, and it sounds really, really great. And now other people are developing oscillators for it, which, if I'm not mistaken, you can jump into that if you have a coding background, and you can write your own oscillators as well. I should probably research that, but I know other people have already done that. It's a big package, right, in a small form factor. It's light, and it sounds amazing. Honestly, I would probably put this before some of the other devices because of the price point, the size, and how much it can do. But alas, it is our number 5. You can argue with me down in the comments below. Let's have a powwow, whatever. But let's listen to it, and let's hear what this can provide. Cool?
So we've talked about Alamo's top 5 for the year. I have a couple of honorable mentions I would like to throw in there. So if you're following the videos that I've been working on with Alamo in the past 3 months now, give or take, I've been doing a lot of recording at home. And one of the pieces that I can't live without is my Focusrite ISA 828, which is basically 8 Rupert Neve design ISA 110 mic preamps. They're really nice and big and open. They're not super colored like other Neve preamps, like a 1073, 1084, that whole series from the 70s. It also has a digital option, the digital output option, which supports the Alesis light pipe technology, which is really nice. And you can change the MP. There's just so much you can do. It's a very flexible, very beautiful sounding preamp, and everything that you've heard me produce has all been run through those preamps. I can't live without them. Another device that I have that I can't live without is the Warm Bus, or the Bus Comp. We are a Warm dealer. The Bus Comp is modeled after SSL's G bus compressor. Now, for many years, if you wanted the sound of that SSL G bus compressor, well, you probably had to be on an SSL 4000, 6000, or a 9000 desk. Not too common for all of us, that are producing at home. I'm very fortunate in that I do a lot of work in studios, so I've been on a lot of those compressors. I have the Warm emulation of that in my rack at home. And it has some other bells and whistles too. It has transformers that are incorporated into the signal path, which may or may not be suitable for your productions. I find that it works on some things, on other things a little too heavy-handed. All I'm saying is the Warm bus compressor is an amazing box. It's $699. If you want a G bus compressor from SSL, you're probably looking at anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000. And I haven't A-B'd them side to side, but I can tell you this, the Warm bus compressor has the same feeling. Sonically, it's probably gonna sound a little bit different, especially if the transformers are engaged, but the way that it handles, the way that it pumps and breathes and gives a little more glue and motion to your mix, it feels, from what my memory tells me, pretty spot on at a great price point. Also a big fan of all the Strymon stuff. I'm finding that I can't live without this product across everything that they do. I'm a big fan of stomp boxes, which you have seen. So way to go, Strymon. Keep on knocking them out of the park. And now they have a modular reverb
The name of it escapes me. I can't think of what they've called that. But as soon as we get one in, we'll talk about it. So those are my honorable mentions. So once again, that was Alamo's top 5 synthesizers and drum machines for the year, as well as my honorable mentions. And we got a little bit into the modular world. We're going to definitely step into that a little more heavily next year. And with that, this is my last video for the year. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments and for having a very, very civilized conversations. The comments have been absolutely fantastic. And if I haven't answered you yet, or if I haven't replied with something, I'm going to get to you at some point. I promise. I'm working on it. There's a lot to cover. If you haven't subscribed to us already, please do so. We also have our guitar channel and our piano channel, so if you need to fill in some gaps on your knowledge there, be sure to tune in and listen to Chris and Cooper and to Ted and Pat as they talk about pianos. And I know that we've got more coming up. We're going to dive into all this technology, even more so next year, covering plugins and different production types and techniques. There's just a lot to cover. And getting into the modular world too, for some of you that aren't too familiar with that, we're going to start diving into that. So with that being said, comment, subscribe, happy holidays, happy New Year, be safe, be kind to each other, be peaceful, love one another. Let's keep on creating content and keeping this conversation flowing, and I will see you next year. Thanks a lot.